The Texas Revolution. Today we will take you on a journey far, far south, starting with stubborn, pig-headed Americans and leading to a bloody revolution.
We begin our journey in what was then a territory of Spain. Moses Austin was a banker and businessman whose dream was to start an American colony in a part of Spain later known as Texas. In 1821, Spanish officials gave Austin a large plot of land. When Moses died, his son, Stephen F. Austin, took over his father's dream. As Stephen arrived in Texas, Mexico had just won its independence from Spain. Thankfully, Mexico still allowed Austin to start his colony. There were, however, a few conditions. First of all, Austin had to pick honest and hard-working settlers. The settlers had to become Mexican citizens and become Catholic.
Austin's colony was a huge success. By 1830, Americans outnumbered Tejanos 6-1. Tejanos are Texans of Mexican descent. As you can imagine, tempers began to rise. The Americans were unhappy because they had to listen to Mexican officials, even though they were Mexican citizens themselves. All of the official documents were in Spanish, the official language of the country, a language most of them refused to learn. Finally, when Mexico outlawed slavery, people were furious. What kind of world did they live in? Paying people to work?
The Tejanos were angry that many Americans had come to Texas without Mexico's permission. Most of these people didn't care about Mexican culture and wouldn't become citizens. In response to these events, Texas was no longer open to immigration, and soldiers were sent to Texas to enforce the No Immigration Act. This made Americans in Texas angry. They were strong-willed and hated being told what to do. Stephen Austin led another group to the capital of Mexico and demanded that Texas become a separate state so they could handle their own affairs. Unfortunately for Austin, General Antonio Lopez de Santa Anna was the evil dictator of Mexico. Instead of trying to argue with Austin, he threw him in jail. Soon after, they released Austin. Texas rebelled, and Santa Anna was soon sending out 6,000 troops to crush them.
Late February 1836, San Antonio, Texas, 180 Texans and 8 Tejanos are guarding the city, including the famous Davy Crockett and James Bowie. Santa Anna's troops slowly destroyed these brave men one by one in the battle later to be known as the Alamo. Not one man abandoned his post during those 12 terrible days. On the final day, Santa Anna's army stormed the fort, causing the battle to be over in an hour and a half. Anyone who survived would be executed immediately. This decision would cause tempers to flare all throughout Texas. Sam Houston was filled with anger. With the few troops he had, he was determined to destroy General Santa Anna. He strategically dragged Santa Anna's army deeper into Texas, cutting off his supplies. Eventually, the general waited at the San Jacinto River for Houston to attack. When he didn't, the general told his troops to rest. In the late afternoon, however, Houston attacked. His troops ran down into the camp yelling, "Remember the Alamo!" in remembrance of their lost troops. General Santa Anna fled, but was captured a day later in exchange for his freedom. The general agreed to recall all of his troops from Texas. The Texas War for Independence was over.
Texas was its own country for 10 years. Eventually, after much argument, Texas was annexed into the United States as the 28th state in 1845. Many believed that all of this worked out in a way. It was destined that we were to gain the land of Texas into our great country. This, some said, was our manifest destiny.
Now for our bibliography.